Welcome to VSB News Online for Friday, July 17th. I'm Charles Webb. Finance Minister E.T. Bob Richards was greeted with a howl of derision from opposition benches in Parliament today when he announced that government would be borrowing a further $200 million, this time from a local bank, to ensure the country did not run out of money in 2017. Mr. Richards explained the circumstances to VSB News' Brian Darby. Later, Shadow Minister David Burt spoke in his turn.
The money that we borrowed year before last is running out. Bearing in mind that during that period, we had to refinance debt that matured that was raised by the former government during that period. And for the next 2 years, there's also going to be debt that will mature from the former government. So these things have to be refinanced because we don't have the money to pay them off. So the $200 million debt facility announced today is to take us to year after next, at which time we'll assess our situation and make some decisions at that time.
And you're doing it ahead of time.
Yeah, you just can't wait to the last minute and say, well, I'm out of money, I'm going to trot down to the bank. If you do that, I mean, you could do that, but if you do that, then you're going to get nailed in terms of the terms and the costs and all that. So we're trying to do things in an orderly fashion.
And doing it with a local bank has its benefits?
Well, I think so. We'd like to support the local banks, but they have to be able to be competitive internationally. And if they're not, we'll use international banks. In this case, and we did that year before last. In this case, we got a good offer, and we've taken it.
The Minister of Finance 2 years ago told us that the $800 million that he was borrowing was going to last for 3 years. Now, less than 2 years after the $800 million was borrowed, he has gone back to the banks for more money. That means that his strategy, that means that his planning, that means that his execution have all been wrong and they have failed. Those are the facts. The Minister of Finance also stated that the reason that he was borrowing this money was because interest rates were going to rise. And in fact, they fell. He said that with interest rates rising, that we would save the government, the people of this country, $20 to $40 million. Given the fact that interest rates have fallen and not risen as he's predicted, that means that his decision-making costs us more money and increased our debt. So this isn't a question of what the opposition is upset about. This is a question of poor financial management by the Minister of Finance, who claims to know all about finance, but has gotten fundamental items wrong, has cost the country more money, and has now seen interest rates that are being charged this country insofar as borrowing increase because the lenders do not have confidence in his stewardship of the economy.
Premier and National Security Minister Michael Dunkley says he is disappointed that the Commissioner of Police has been forced by the lack of options to make cuts to the police service, currently numbering 438 officers and costing the country $38 million. He blamed the Bermuda Police Association for being inflexible when presented with alternatives.
We have challenges with the deficit in Bermuda, and the police commissioner, to his credit, and the senior management team have taken that on board. We've had some frank discussions about the amount of personnel they need to get the job done and how we can fund that. I was hoping that it wouldn't come down to the reduction of staff members, because there's only so far you can go, and I just don't want to put the commission in a position of making those tough decisions. But against the backdrop of our inability at this point to make progress with the Bermuda Police Association on the conditions of service orders, we have to take these steps. I would still very hopeful that the BPA and their hierarchy will come to the table and discuss these issues. I think people know that the police do a great job in Bermuda. We count on them to make Bermuda the safe place that it is. It's the bedrock of our communities and our society, whether it's visitors or international business, and it's something we appreciate the work that they do. But when you take a look at that, over the past 20 years or so, the police have received tremendous benefits, And at times, as you've received those benefits, you have to take a look at the total package. In today's time, this government, as we've signaled in throne speech and budget debates, feel that it's appropriate. Some of those things that are in the conditions of service orders are clawed back to some extent.
The chairman of the Bermuda Police Association, Raul Main, reacted strongly to Commissioner Michael De Silva's decision not to renew 10 contracts of serving members of the Bermuda Police Service. He issued a tersely worded statement and criticized the public safety minister of causing anxiety throughout the ranks of the service. Brian Darby has some excerpts.
The news of the decision not to renew 10 contracts of serving members of the Bermuda Police Service was nothing short of heartbreaking, said Mr. Ming, who questions the Commissioner as to whether the government either provided or set a specific number of officers they believe is the ideal number needed to police the islands. And if the answer is yes, what is that number? The BPA, he said, is currently in negotiations with the government's public sector negotiating team, and he says they entered into these ventures in good faith. Mr. Ming says he finds it distasteful that the minister takes every opportunity to speak on the subject of the GEHI contributions. The constant attention to the subject, he says, has caused anxiety throughout the ranks of the BPS. It's as if it is a tactic of divide and conquer, he said, and it's being applied to ensure that the matter remains in the public eye and especially among other government workers. Brian Darby reporting for VSB News.
Future care premiums will rise $54 to $504 a month, and HIP goes from $390 to $433 a month, effective September the 1st. Making the announcement in Parliament today, Health Minister Jeannie Atherton outlined a number of additional benefits, including personal home care and increased specialist visits, plus a new HIP youth program costing $190 a month.
This allows persons that are in HIP and future care to be able to have the care coverage that they need, whether it be at home. If they're at home and need resources, they will be able to go through and apply and have them covered. If they have to be discharged from the hospital, then if they're able to stay at home, fine. And if they don't, if they have to go to a rest home or a nursing home, it will give them some funds towards that. But it's really the aging at home that's really being promoted. The second thing which is being promoted is to start to talk about specialist visits and recognizing that we want you, if you have to go to the specialist, to have funds put aside to that, but also we fixed it in a way that you have at least 3 more additional visits, because sometimes when you go, you need some more visits after that to make sure you get it under control. The other thing, and all of this will come out in some more information which you'll see in the paper and some press releases, is also the benefit which allows you to go to have the type of visits with individuals that will help you manage your diseases, so that you can go and have counseling on diabetes, fall management, cancer, smoking cessation, all of these things. And the reason I say some of this, like let's say like smoking cessation, that if you can't stop smoking, the ultimate then is getting cancer, and then the ultimate then is all the other things that go along with it. So those are really good things. But the other thing, which is really something that I think I want to get other people to be aware of, but HIP is going to have a youth benefit, so that if you have a HIP policy and you have a young person, you can put that person on your plan for things up to age 16, and if they're in university up to age 21. So this means that there are things that are not covered by youth subsidy, and things happen to your children, and this way you can have them covered.
Tourism Minister Sean Crockwell says he's determined that Cup Match will be enjoyed by visitors despite the problem the Bermuda Tourist Authority and the Bermuda Hotel Association have been having arrived at an affordable solution. Rather than argue whether it's logical to ask visitors to pay $150 to tour local Cup Match campsites, an idea that Cheddar Minister Zane De Silva has criticized, he is looking at a last-minute compromise.
Clearly, we regard Cup Match as our greatest cultural event, and historically there was a presence of the BHA and tourism there manning a stand, which became very popular. So certainly I would like to see somehow if we can preserve that. But the Bermuda Hotel Association, they stated that they cannot afford to do it this year. They're hoping that they can resume their support of it in subsequent years. But I do know that the CEO of the Tourism Authority has been in dialogue with the BHA to try to come up with a solution. So I'm waiting to get an update on what they're going to do going forward.
Now, the BTA did say that St. George's had not invited them on board. I suppose that's an important point.
It is a very important point. I mean, normally when the Cup Match organizers are looking for sponsorship, they will make an application. They did not make an application to the BTA this year, but normally you would have that stand, which would be a collaboration between the BHA and tourism. And so we just have to ascertain whether or not there is a solution to this, and I know that the government would like to see a solution to it, and so we will work with all parties to try and bring that to fruition.
You can't go where you're not wanted.
Well, I mean, I don't know if the St. George's don't want them or not. I'm not quite sure what the decision was there, but we will try to get to the bottom of this shortly and advise the country accordingly.
And we'll be back right after this.
In an effort to make Bermuda's roads safer, and in partnership with Bermuda Police Service and the Bermuda Road Safety Council, DeFon's Broadcasting is launching a safe driving campaign. Complete with thumb bands, come into DeFon's Broadcasting and 94 Reed Street and make the commitment to drive safer and slower for yourself. Your voice could be featured on the radio. Get yourself a thumb band as a reminder of your commitment to drive safer and with fewer distractions. While you're at it, why not get one for someone in your life who also needs a reminder that our roads do not discriminate. They can take anyone's life. Let's drive safe, Bermuda, and arrive alive. Peace and love. Safe journeys.
Attorney General Trevor Moniz is content that although he lost out on the ending of a suspect's right to remain silent, the majority of changes in his law reform bills have been approved by Parliament, and he can continue with the efficiency initiative.
These are, huge changes to criminal procedure in Bermuda. Will bring Bermuda into the 21st century. We've taken adverse inferences off the plate at the moment. We will rethink it. We will see how the new system goes into effect. We're looking not only at these criminal procedure changes, we're also looking at Part 5 of PACE, the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, which is not yet in force. And we're also going to be looking at civil penalties. That's the other half, is to get people out of the criminal justice system. People who don't really belong there, people who have minor offenses, whether they be drug offenses or behavior offenses. So we're going to be, in November, bringing forward a large measure to deal with civil penalties for minor offenses to take people out of the system. And we hope to make the caution system operate more efficiently as well. So we have a balanced approach to all of this.
So you must be generally happy with what went on.
Yes, I think this is one of those things which is a legacy event. It fulfills the mandate of the OBA government to move Bermuda forward, and I think this is one of those sea changes in terms of reform. It will have a large effect.
Cricketers playing in tomorrow's iconic county game will take the unprecedented step of pausing for 67 seconds to commemorate another icon, Nelson Mandela's International Day. It's part of a global movement to take his life's work into a new century and change our way of life for the better. With a number of island-wide activities planned, Maxine Esdale, chair of the African Diaspora Heritage Trail, says how she would like to see the commemoration resonate.
I think what I'd most like Bermudians to do is to take that 67 minutes that was talked about, in the 67 minutes representing 67 years of Mandela's service to the world, to just take those 67 minutes to do something that, as it says, participate for good. It could, for me, it doesn't have to be an organized something. It could be that I decide as a person in my neighborhood that has a lady who I know might need help with her grocery shopping to go take her grocery shopping, or go and retour, or take her to the beach, or the opportunity to stop for 67 minutes and recognize I have the opportunity to do something, and I'm going to take that opportunity today. And then I'd like for them to remember, I can do this every day of the year.
Now, do you think Bermudians will grasp this whole concept of doing something for others?
I think so. I mean, I think if we think about Bermudians, we're always helping. I mean, if we look at the number of charities that we have around, if we look at what people do, we're here in the charities building. We have a number of charities here, and these people are always looking for ways to assist. The opportunity for them to say, I'm going to take this day, 67 minutes, and do something for someone else, I think it's an easy thing to do. And I think Bermudians are among the most giving people in the world.
How can you encourage Bermudians to extend this from the birthday commemoration to their everyday lives?
That would be the challenge. I think it's just a reminder. I mean, you can do what you can, and I think what we're trying to do is to do what we can. And if we can do this every year, if we're starting, so if we can do this every year, we're starting with tomorrow. The opportunity for us to do tomorrow and to try and at least every year to do this may have some carryover effect. We can't guarantee that, but we're saying we're taking this opportunity to commemorate this man's 67 years of service.
Government expects the number of cruise ship passengers to increase by 10% next year, with the industry as a whole bringing in more than $90 million to the island's coffers. But it's the news about Hamilton and St. George that will make the sweetest sound.
Hamilton will see cruise calls increase by 20%, while the number of liners visiting St. George will increase from 2 this year to 5 next year. According to Bermuda Tourism Authority CEO Bill Hanbury, we strategically targeted the premium or luxury brands over many months and are extremely pleased with all the hard work paid off, with 15 additional occasional calls in 2016, and that's a significant 43% increase. The preliminary 2016 cruise schedule predicts 100 regular cruise calls with an additional 50 occasional callers, bringing a total of 150 cruise calls for 2016. In 2015, there are 135 scheduled cruise calls. About 407,000 cruise visitors are anticipated for next year. They compare to 370,000 for 2015, and back in 2014, there were 356,000 cruise visitor arrivals. Projections for next year forecast that a total of $91 million will be plowed into the island's economy in a combined total of government taxes, cruise passenger expenditure, and crew member expenditure, this compared to $81 million last year. And lastly, Royal Caribbean will be introducing their newly built Anthem of the Seas to Bermuda next year. I'm Chris Lodge, VSB News.
And speaking of sweet sounds, we turn to Earl Baisden with the latest from the sports desk.
Cece Woolman and Cameron Pimentel were the only two Bermuda athletes to compete in the Pan American Games in Toronto yesterday on the 6th day of competition. The pair were racing for the 5th consecutive day, with Woolman taking part in the women's laser radial fleet, while Pimentel is racing in the men's laser fleet. After 10 overall races, Woolman remained in 11th place. She recorded her second place finish of the regatta when she crossed the line behind Lucia Flesia from Argentina in the second race of the day and the 9th of the series. The first race of the day, Woolman finished 13th, and then in the final race of the day, she finished 12th. Woolman has 78 net points. Meanwhile, Pimentel remained in 14th place. He now has 112 net points. Pimentel, in the 3 races sailed on the day, recorded finishes of 15th, 13th, and 15th. Goals from Craig Westcar, Melvin Benning, Reggie Lamb, and Adi Youssef ensured Mansfield had a 4-1 victory over Workshop Town. Elizabeth Parsons and Walker Campbell began taking part in the IMG Academy Junior Golf World Championships at the Torrey Pines Golf Course South Course. Parsons shot an opening round 8 over par 80. Parsons' round consisted of 3 birdies, 7 pars, 6 bogeys, and 3 double bogeys. Campbell shot a first round 8 over par 80. In his opening round, Campbell shot 7 pars and 11 bogeys. Eastern County Cup challengers Bailey's Bay have selected their team for the 2015 Eastern County Cup competition first round match against cup holders Cleveland County. The Bailey's Bay team consists of Rodney Trottis, captain, Terran Frey, vice captain, Stephen Otterbridge, Trey Manders, Sinclair Smith, Kyle Hutzel, Azende Furbit, Latif Trott, Burton Otterbridge, Coolidge Durham as coach, and Danico Hollis. The Bermuda Cricket Board and Shivers Regal announced the winner of the weekly Shivers Cricket Sportsman Award. The winner of the award for Week 5 was Kywon Franks from Flats, Victoria. Making the announcement was the Bermuda Cricket Board CEO, Neil Spate.
And in their game against Flats and Cleveland, they had an opportunity to take advantage of a technicality. The Cleveland player on the team sheet actually ended up being injured, but in the spirit of good sportsmanship, Kywon Franks from Flats allowed Cleveland to change their team so they could have 11 players reflecting the true spirit of the game. Congratulations.
I'd just like to congratulate you on behalf of God and the Shivers and present you with this scholarship for the team.
I'd like to thank Goslings and the Cricket Board for this award. I'm sure the boys would definitely like this, right?
Welcome to the beautiful wine cellar, Goslings on Dundalk Street. We're here to celebrate the Shivers Sportsman of the Week for Week 5. We're really proud to celebrate the game for Flats when they play Cleveland. Points have been difficult for both clubs, so every point would have been valued, but in an act of sportsmanship, the Flats captain allowed Cleveland to change their team sheet when one of their players got injured after the team sheet had been submitted. It wasn't something he had to do, but in the spirit of sportsmanship and cricket, he did that. So we're here to celebrate Kywon Franks, captain of Flats, as the Shivers Sportsman Week for Week 5. Here to present on behalf of Goslings is Victoria.
I'd like to congratulate you on behalf of Goslings and Shivers and present you with this scholarship as 18.
I'd like to thank Goslings for this great prize, and Bermuda Cricket Board also, and Cleveland's coach for the recommendation. Thanks.
As the Bermuda Bicycle Association's 2015 road race season progresses, the team competition is heating up. Following the Tokyo medium distance time trial last Sunday, the team standings are now showing Winner's Edge holding a lead over Tokyo while the rest scramble for the lesser positions. Winner's Edge currently have 624 points, while Team Tokyo have 572 points. Bicycle Works are in third with 256 points, while the Independent registered 162 points. Digicel Madison have 129 points. As the first ever Women's Basketball British League 2014-15 season closed, a new season schedule has been set. Janelle Wade-Frey's Britain Topcats head coach Steve Vera and assistant coach Laura Fireman have chosen their individual player awards. Wade-Frey, who was a late addition to the team, finished as a runner-up in the Offensive Player of the Year award. The Dannytown Sports Club teams continue playing in the Disney Cup International Competition. Two of their three teams were in action on day 3, and they did not suffer a loss. The Dannytown Hornets under-11 boys, playing in the bracket 2 of the Silver Division, drew their match 1-1 with SKHV FC, while the under-13 boys played 2 games in bracket 1 of the Gold and Silver Division. They drew both games, first drawing 1-1 against Addison United, and then they drew 3-3 against TX Sun SC. Dandy Stars under-12 girls in bracket 1 of the Gold and Silver Division had the day off. The Argo Reese Summer Super Series Triathlon took place in hot and dry conditions, with a strong breeze making the cycle leg a real challenge at Clearwater Beach in Southside last evening. A trio of South Africans showed they are used to the wind because they took the first 3 places. Byron Rankin took the top spot, crossing the line at a time of 26:12, overtaking Andrew Davis on the second lap of the run. Davis clocked 26:31, finishing in second, and Gerard Boonstra came in third, clocking 27:58, edging out Otis Ingham in fourth, who crossed in 28:08. Relative newcomer Alicia Hancock was the first lady home and 11th overall in a time of 29:38. Up-and-coming Jessie Marshall finished 13th overall and was the second female finisher with a time of 30:30, and Christine Shutter was the third female finisher and 15th overall for a time of 32:09. I'm Earl Basden reporting from Toronto, Canada at the Pan American Games for VSB Sports.
And now for the weather. For Saturday, July the 18th, it will be mostly cloudy with showers in the area and the risk of thunder. Winds will be southwesterly and light, increasing light to moderate by afternoon with stronger gusts around showers. The high will be near 86, the low near 77. This weather report is courtesy of the Bermuda Weather Service. Thank you for watching VSB News Online for Friday, July the 17th. I'm Charles Webb, wishing you a very happy weekend.